Assalamu alaikum everybody, I'm Fatma.
And I'm Umber. Today's program is about the tragic event that happened in Wisconsin at the Sikh temple, where 6 people died and many others were injured.
We have brought guests on our show to talk about this incident, and in the last portion of this episode, we will also be airing a Ramadan video that was produced exclusively by WNYMuslims, so please look out for it.
Welcome to Olive Branch.
Joining us today, we have Dr. Surjit Singh from the Sikh community in Buffalo, Mandeep Singh from the Sikh Student Association in Buffalo at UB, and Professor Faizan Haq, Islamic Studies Professor at UB and Intercultural Communication Professor at Buffalo State College. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for asking us.
Yeah, we really appreciate the time you guys took to come, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, we all know what happened, the tragic event that took place in Wisconsin at the Sikh temple called Gurdwara.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there was a gunman that just went in on a rampage, started shooting people, killed 6 people, and injured many others, including 2 police officers. The gunman's name was Wade Michael Page. And we don't know much about him since he's also dead. And we don't know what exactly motivated him, but we can only guess he was a white supremacist, and most likely it was a hate crime. Now, this is such a tragic event, and this is not the first time something like this happened, unfortunately. But can you tell us a little bit about how you as a Sikh community are dealing with this tragic event?
We are like, any group of people, or at any time humans suffer, they always look towards higher power. And the highest of all the powers is power of God himself. So we had prayer meetings, vigils, and also when people get together, they share your grief. Your grief becomes a little less, and especially when people of the other communities like Christians, Jews, Muslims, Baha'is, and other groups which are inhabitants of Western New York join us. We feel that we are not alone, and that makes our grief a little bit less. And he's in the UB, he can talk about students.
Yeah, how is the youth reacting to this?
We all held, like Surjit Singh said, we held services at our Gurdwara, and then we made this Facebook page to aware all the people about what happened. And they've been posting all the events that have been happening throughout the country, like
and what's
at
the
all the temples.
Facebook page, so we can make our viewers aware of it as well?
It is Wisconsin shooting.
Okay.
Sikh temple services. So,
Okay.
yeah. And yes, we are all like praying to God to bring us all together in this. So there's peace and harmony everywhere, and there's no like this kind of tragedies ever happening in the future. And there are no hard feelings against any religion or creed or any community or anything regarding this shooting. But yeah, we're all pretty like shocked about this event.
Now, Professor Haq, can you tell us a little bit about how the Muslim community has responded in support to the Sikh community?
Actually, Muslim communities have been suffering since September 11th events. Many incidents like that has taken place, as you already know. Probably within few days, or I think probably the same day, there was a shooting and there was a mosque burning. There are other incidents. And Sikh community is associated with the Muslim community very closely by the people who do not make the distinction between the two. But it is true. It is, I think, it is historically true as well. And Professor Surjit Singh, who's also a scholar, can verify that information, that Muslim and Sikh religions are close religions in more than one ways. Many people don't know that. There is a lot of overlap. However, this is a tragic event, and we felt that it spills violence in other communities, and it is not a good sign. It is not a good representation of United States of America. This is not what this country is about, and we have to be aware of those people who are either propagating such messages or underlining them or playing it up for the consumption of the public, because the more these incidents have becoming very prevalent, and they actually are damaging the image and the interests of United States of America in the world.
Now, how may people confuse Sikhs with Muslims, which, you know.
I think there's quite a large number. The trouble is, if somebody confuses me as a Muslim, it is not right for me to say I tell all my Sikh brethren that I'm not a Muslim, which implies that it's okay to hate a Muslim. And I think that's a very bad thing, and that's not our religion and our God teaches. And but nonetheless, I think we need to kind of educate people about the faith. You know, Sikhism is close to Islam in the sense that all these Semitic religions which grew up in Middle East, they have two great things. One of them is the strict monotheism, and second is the mercy of God, forgiveness of sin. In all the religions, Aryan religions which grew up in India, there are only two places in the world where the religions grew. And over there, the emphasis is more than one God, you know, like each natural force had a God of its own, so on and so forth. And karma theory, which means whatever you do, you have to pay for it no matter what. Which means God is a supercomputer who is keeping track of everything, and by God, when you meet him, he's going to take care of it. Sikhism adopts the monotheism of Islam. Actually, it came as a time when in India the relations between Hindus and Muslims were not very good, but there were people on both sides, Sufis, Sufi Islam, and Sikhs, and a bunch of other people who thought, oh, we have much more in common than what separates us. And our book actually starts with the number one, Omkar. So that just as you say, like in Surah Khalas, Allahul Wahadun, you know, the last three surahs, if you take them, which are only 5 ayah each, they are just like the beginning of our book, a holy book. And our holy book also contains the writings of Sheikh Farid, a great Sufi saint of, I think, 11th century, maybe the first Punjabi poet, first recorded Punjabi poet, and I think one of the most beautiful poet. I am personally very much impressed by Muhammad Baksh, Saif al-Muluk. I know half of it by heart.
I see. Well, that's very interesting.
Yes,
I learned something new.
Yes, so
Now, can you tell us, are you concerned for the safety at the local Sikh Gurdwaras, or are you concerned for the safety of your community?
Yes, you know, you are a little bit concerned and you are a little bit more careful, at least for the time being. Actually, the day the thing happened, our priest was in India taking care of his sick mother who was kind of in last legs. And one of the priests who died in Wisconsin, his wife and the wife of our priest are sisters. So then he said he's going to stay longer with the bereaved family. And so in that sense, the tragedy touched the Sikh community of Niagara Falls much more than maybe other communities. So as a result, we took our time to have a service. And all the law enforcement people came to express their solidarity and help and everything else.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Now, Mandeep, you tell us, what are you doing for your communities so to prevent anything like this from happening again?
Especially its awareness, like, you know, even on the channels that, like, all the media people that came to our Sikh temple when we were doing the services, like, our basic concern was to like not really like retaliate or anything. It was basically to aware people, to educate them of who we are, not saying that it's okay if they did this with some other community who they mistake us with, Muslims. Not at all, like that's not the intention, but still they should like know who we actually are, so our identity is.
And what have you been doing to create the awareness?
Usually basically it's like media and like internet. We've been like I said, Facebook page. There have been a lot of like, we don't just have Sikh people who have been entering and being like joining that page. There have been a lot of white people too. And in coming fall, we will be holding some special event in our Sikh association regarding this thing, so we can educate more people in the university too. Because, you know, that's the younger generation, so if they know it, it will always follow.
Okay.
And when you first heard about this tragic event, unfortunately, what was the first thing that went through your minds? Did you think, oh, maybe we've been mistaken for Muslims because of 9/11?
Mainly, it was shock and despair. Like, the first thing was, why would anyone, like, not just any religion or any community, like, why would anyone ever do this to innocent people who are unarmed? They're just sitting there worshiping. And even worse, it was in a holy place. Like, people are worshiping. They're like holding services for God. It's a holy place. Why would you do that in such a place? But yeah, then, like, considering all the events, like, then we came to know it was he was a supremacist, right? And then those things followed, that he might have mistaken us for someone else. But still, it's not okay for him to just go around shooting people.
Right, right.
So we're going to take a short break. Thank you for your insight, and we'll be back in a bit.
Thank you.
You do a very good job.
Welcome back to our program. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We were earlier discussing about the how the Sikh community is dealing with the tragic event that happened in Wisconsin, you know, after the shooting. Now we know that this guy, Wade Michael Page, was a white supremacist, and there's a lot of, unfortunately, this wasn't the first, and it might not be the last hate crime a person like him has committed. Now, we don't know if he's a lone gunman or whether it was organized, and I guess we'll never know for sure because he's dead. So with all the hate crimes that are happening, and from what I heard, even in our Muslim community as well, as Professor Faizan Haq knows, according to Salon.com, for example, there's been several attacks in mosques as well. You know, in just 11 days during Ramadan, there's been, what, 8 attacks now. What do you feel that this Islamophobia/xenophobia is escalating, and what do you think we should do about this? I mean, should we take an active role in this, or should we just pray to God and hope this doesn't happen again? Professor Faizan, what do you think?
I think that it is on the rise, and partially because it has become it has become tools in the hands of people who want political mileage out of it. There are some political figures who have given extremely irresponsible statements. They've taken positions just to get attention, undue attention, I think.
Right.
And then we see in the media, there are elements who are actually enforcing it, and not only enforcing it but actually endorsing it. And it becomes, and people take it as norms. It's okay, and this kind of behavior has been part of the history of the United States. In the we know it has happened with African Americans. It had happened with the Jewish people. I don't know when are we going to learn as a community, as a nation, but I think it's about time in this century that we should learn that you cannot put all the people together. Just like if he was a white supremacist, it doesn't mean all the white people are like that.
Of course,
but
yeah,
we
can't generalize.
but as you know, many times if any incident of that kind happens or is done by another religion, it gets blasted all over the media, but nobody's talking about where he went to worship, what institution was he associated with, what kind of sermon was he listening to, who was his preacher, and what kind of media outlets he was watching. I think, or what kind of politicians he was following. I think this information is a very key information, and the Sikh community and the Muslim community should not rest till they find that out and make people aware of it. I think it's about time that we should come out and we should share this information. We really should know who are the real enemies of this nation and of this country.
Well, the good thing is that the media is calling this guy, this gunman, Wade Michael Page, a domestic terrorist. You know, before it was just gunman or someone Holmes was considered mentally ill instead of being called a terrorist. Whereas if it's a Muslim or someone else, they're immediately called a terrorist. But now they're calling this guy, Wade Michael Page, a domestic terrorist. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
At the moment, because terrorism really comes from philosophy, and he had a certain philosophy, and I think this is a free country. You can think anything you want, but when you act on it in a way, violent way, when it affects other people, of course it's a terrorism. Because what did he try to do? There are unarmed people praying, and if you just go start killing them indiscriminately, I think your goal is that you're trying to strike terror in their heart, and whatever the cause, the effect is terror. So in that sense, it's okay. In terms of media, I must commend the local media, especially two organizations. One is the Network of Religious Communities, which puts up 3 programs. One is the Kaleidoscope, which is about the faith of your neighbors, and they have given at least 4 times a year they give us coverage for about half hour to explain our faith. May it be Muslim, may it be Hindu, may it be Sikh, so on and so forth. And the Buffalo News were very kind to write a 2-page article on the Sikh way of worship. They came to Niagara Falls, to our temple. We have 3 temples in Western New York. Niagara Falls is the largest because we have about 500 families associated with that.
Now, do you think enough media attention has been given to this incident in comparison to what happened in Colorado with the shootings at the Dark Knight Rises?
See, what happened was since Colorado was in the news, but as soon as this happened, then this became in the news. It's very difficult to compare unless some time has elapsed, more times have elapsed. But I think they did keep the news till last Monday when we had our service, and they covered it very nicely. And all the law enforcement people, they came to support us, told us we are with you. But still, when the service was over, I was just driving out. There was one guy shaking a fist at me too. So in that sense, all we can do is try, as Dr. Faizan Haq has said, Professor Faizan Haq has said, that we should try, and all we can do is try.
Now, how can something like this be prevented in the future? What can be done?
I would say, like, if it is a supremacist group, if they do exist, they do have any misunderstandings or any conflicts or any intentions in their minds, they should come forward, talk to us. Like, we are normal people. We are not those terrorists who did those things. If any particular group out of any religion, even Muslims, whoever did the 9/11, like, it's not the whole community who does that. There are always bad people in every particular religion. It always is like that. So you cannot blame the whole community for that and start like retaliating or anything. So if there are any intentions in their minds or any misunderstandings, I would say they should discuss with us. Like, they should know who we are, what our motives are, what our intentions are, and living in this society. We are all Americans. We should live as one nation, like, not as different religions or anything.
Right.
This is a free country, so we should be like allowed to follow our free religion and everything. And I would say discussion and bringing out our identity and creating awareness is the best way to deal with all this.
Now the question is, that's a very good point you made, but the question is, how will you bring them out and discuss with them?
That's the
these
thing,
people who hate you, who possibly hate you, how can you talk to them? How can you educate them, so as to prevent them from committing any more crimes or attacks?
I would say media is the best way to do that, but still, like I said before, like youth and everyone, whatever we did in the aftermath of the shootings, we don't have any hard feelings against anyone.
Right.
And like I said, if they do exist, those groups, still, like, they need to know that they should just know. They should, like, we are saying it right here on TVs or on the internet, everywhere. They should know normal people are normal people. We don't have enmity against anyone. We don't have hard feelings against anyone. We're just religious people. We have faith in one belief. They do have faith in their beliefs, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, they should, we should all discuss, and live as one nation. There's no point in retaliating and killing other people, because this is going to go on and on and on. We can never stop that way. So in order to have peace, I would say, if they do, because we are not the ones who are doing stuff, right? Whoever is doing stuff, I'm not saying it's only them. in any religion, whoever has any feelings against anyone, hard feelings, they should first discuss it. Know for sure that that's what's happening.
Now, what can we as Western New Yorkers do to help? And for our viewers?
Like already the media groups have done a lot, and our Buffalo community, it's been so great. I've never had any racial discrimination or any problems like that.
Yeah.
And yes, as Western New Yorkers, like the media, even when we held the services at our temples, all the media people that came there, like they helped us a lot. They even took some scripts from us to know who we are and to present us in the media and tell all, like create awareness programs and everything. So
now,
yes, I would
Professor
say.
Haq, what can the Muslim community do to help?
Muslim community is that they have to make the Muslims aware of this tragedy and also have them welcome them to create close ties with the other communities, religious communities, and especially communities such as they got hurt because somebody mistook them as Muslims. And I think this is a great way of connecting with them, and this is why we think that this program, such as these forums, are very important.
Right.
I would suggest that with MSA and Sikh Association can do some joint programs to increase the awareness and increase the diversity awareness among the people of Western New York.
True. And do you think we should also find some people, politicians like Bachman and Allen West and these people, partially responsible for fear-mongering and hate-mongering that might be causing
Actually, what
these
they
hate
do
crimes?
is they say, as you can raise the ethical bar in public conversations, you can also lower the bar. And what they are doing is they are lowering the bar, which we really have to hold them responsible for.
Thank you so much, Professor Haq, as always, and Mandeep and Dr. Singh for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Just really quick before we end, I just want to ask, how can people donate to the victims and their families?
Oh, good
for our
question.
viewers?
Yeah.
Probably through the local Sikh temples.
To their local Sikh temples?
Good idea.
They have actually a website, Sikh organization, something like that. And the temple in Niagara Falls also has open.
Okay, well, I'll get the information from you and then we can put it on our screen for our viewers.
I do have one more point though. There's another way to educate people. Like you can have guest speakers in the universities and at like all those religious places. Like we can have Christian preachers come to Gurdwaras, and Gurdwara people, like our priests, go to their things, right? And like mosques and everywhere going around, so we can actually know what's going on in every other religion and know about.
So thank you so much again for joining us, and we really appreciate you coming on our show to talk about this, and thank you to our viewers, and please stay tuned. In our next segment, we'll be showing our Ramadan video that was produced exclusively by WNYMuslims. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, hello. Why didn't you come in? So what brings you here on this fine day? Ramadan. So you'd like to learn a lot more about Ramadan, would you? Well, I'm glad you asked. Please, have a seat. Pardon my manners. Would you like some tea? Muslims celebrate this month, the month in which the glorious Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad. Peace and blessings be upon him. Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, slightly shorter than the commonly used Gregorian calendar, which accounts for the difference from when Ramadan begins year to year. During Ramadan, Muslims abstain from eating and drinking during daylight hours the entire Islamic month.
No! It's Ramadan.
The fast begins at dawn and ends at dusk. Muslims typically break their fast with a date and a glass of water. It is preferred that a Muslim breaks their fast with a simple meal. Acting like a glutton does not reflect Islamic values.
Hey man, no. Oh, I need this. Ramadan. You can't have it. I need it. You can't.
Islam makes exceptions for the sick and the elderly. They do not have to fast.
No. See? So get out of here. We have some fasting to do?
That's pretty. Yeah, I totally love that purse. Love it in purple. Looks so great with my outfit.
I like it better in pink.
Speaking of purses, did you guys see that ugly thing on Hanam's arm?
Looks like a disco ball.
So hideous. I'm gonna be caught dead wearing that thing.
Hanam's, guys, what's so funny?
Oh, your ugly purse.
When fasting, Muslims also abstain from gossip and slander.
Yo, Shia LaBeouf ain't bad in this movie.
No, not at all. It'd be better if you actually let me watch it for 5 minutes.
You know they say I look like him, right?
No, you don't. Now this is gonna be another 5 minutes of talking. Great.
What do you mean? Like, it's got the face, got the hair.
Just shut up and let me watch it.
Got the charm.
Please, dude. It's wrong. Stop touching me and let me watch the film in peace.
I didn't touch you?
Yes, you did. You just touched me again.
What are you talking about? Yo, enough of that, man. Oh.
Muslims try to achieve exemplary character during this month. It is best to avoid any form of conflict.
Oh, that's very enlightening.
Sorry I pushed you, man.
Another important aspect of Ramadan is charity. Each Muslim is required to donate the equivalent of 6 pounds of grain in order to feed the less fortunate. It is acceptable to donate food or money instead.
Thanks. Hey, wait! I don't like tuna!
So why exactly do we do this? Ramadan is a time for Muslims to relate to the impoverished. It is also a time for Muslims to get closer to God.
Adam, what are you doing up there?
I'm getting closer to Allah.
Come down right now before you hurt yourself.
Okay.
Muslims get closer to God by increasing the amount of their prayers and supplication. Muslims try to be more sincere in their prayer. Quality is stressed over quantity. The end of Ramadan is marked by the sighting of the new moon. Due to differences in opinion, sometimes the end of Ramadan is celebrated on different days.
Guys, I don't see the moon anywhere.
You're right.
According to astronomers, the new moon's tonight. We can celebrate Eid tomorrow.
By the time Eid comes around, Muslims feel spiritually rejuvenated, and they carry this feeling of rejuvenation with them throughout the entire year. Have you learned everything you wanted to know about Ramadan? Good. Oh my, it's getting pretty late. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. If you ever need me, I'll be sitting by the fire. You sleepy, kitty? You sleepy?